something I'm quite interested in regards to actually, because you're on prep now, is how do you actually currently train now? Because obviously when you've got food in you, when you're well recovered, your training is going to be really, really good. You're not going to have to worry about, injuries, etc., things like that as much. So is there a way you change your style of training when you're on prep so that your recovery's, obviously, especially when you go down to like how many calories you go at the end, what kind of changes with that?
To be honest, I tried to keep my training pretty much the same year round.
Okay.
Obviously, I've made certain changes how I train over the years anyway. As I've got older, picked up more injuries, particularly after I tore my pec and my tricep. I've had to sort of change how I train anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I generally train a lot of time under tension, and I'll generally stick to 8 to sort of 15 rep range, stay in that hypertrophy.
Yeah.
I'll try and keep obviously I'll push, or I'll train to failure, and I'll try and move as heavy a weight as I can. I'm a big believer in what built it keeps it. Yeah. So I'll try and keep the weight as the same for as long as I can throughout prep. However, weight moves weight. So obviously, when the lighter we get, the more weight we lose, the more we come down in size. You do have to make them adjustments, and for me, it's making sure that we are staying injury free on prep. But I've found over the years since I've changed my training that as long as I'm sticking to that time under tension, we're putting the muscle under as much duress and stress as possible. That for me, that works the best.
Have you found that with the training, like you said, it changed over the years and stuff? Now you have gone to time under tension, more controlled, not necessarily weight focused. Do you lose much strength when you are coming maybe to the final bit of your prep, nearly on stage, a couple of weeks out maybe, or is it pretty much quite consistent because you're not as weight focused now, would you say?
Generally, it will come down a little bit towards the end, particularly in the last sort of 4 weeks, where the food's getting lower and lower. You are running towards the end. You're kind of running on empty and stuff. So at that point, you know you're not going to be building or growing any more muscle. You're just getting blood in there. And you just keep the muscle. Just seeing out the last sort of few weeks before the show, and your focus is in bringing your conditioning through. So you need to keep sensible within the few weeks coming up to the show. There's no point in trying to push past your limits because there's no point. You're not going to grow and build anything. So, but generally, yeah, for me, I found again because my food was quite high coming into probably the last 5 weeks or so that. Strength-wise, I was able to keep pretty much what I was lifting throughout.
That's crazy. That close as well.
That's impressive to be.
Yeah.
So something I wanted to touch on. You obviously just mentioned earlier about the pec and the tricep tear. Me and Shen have obviously seen the video. Folks at home maybe haven't. How did it happen? For one, obviously, again, we've seen it. People may have not. But also, two, how was the recovery from that?
So we were in the gym training. Actually, we were just about to start our preps. Probably about 4 weeks out from our prep. Training was going well. Off season was going really good, and we were in training chest one day, and I had a tightness in my pec. Coming up to that day, I put a shot of testosterone suspension in there, and I had a little knot in there, so there was a tightness. Was warming up, felt fine, and coming into, I wanted to try and go for 200. We were hitting 180 pretty comfortably.
This is on bench press,
yeah. And I felt good, and we'd gone up to 3 plates a side, and I said, "Solid, let's go for 200." And that's why I said to someone to film because we hadn't done it before. So I thought, right, let's try and hit it pretty hard.
Doesn't count if it's not recorded.
And it does help a little bit. It gives you that little extra.
Yeah, you have to get that up. Yeah,
I was filming it. Again, should have probably gone up to 180 before I made the jump up to 200. Took the bar, went to bring it down, and it suddenly was stopping sort of about halfway down. And there was just, again, that tightness, that small little lump I had was just creating a tightness in my pec. And I pushed the bar up, and I obviously wasn't happy.
As you said before, you don't do stuff by half.
So I was like,
let's do it.
So the guy would take the spot, would take the bar off me, and I'd said, no, I'll go again. So again, brought it down and I hit that stopping point again, and I pushed past it this time, trying to get the bar down to my chest. And literally as soon as I pushed past, it just went pop.
Oh yeah, I've got the video in my head.
Yeah, and that went viral, I think, that video. And I didn't know because I had my eyes closed at the time, so I thought my spotter had fallen on top of me. Because I felt the bar suddenly.
That would have been.
Yeah, and like, so I opened up and he's looking at me, and I could see like his face had gone like almost white. And then it sort of clicked, I've torn my pec. So, and then again, it was 200 on the bar, so we luckily didn't have ends on it, so we turned it. Because there's no way he was.
It's a pro of not having clips on, right? He's always used clips, but I mean.
There's no way he was going to be able to pull the bar up. So, threw the bar off, and straight away I knew what I'd done. And that was one of my biggest fears, was probably ever tearing a pec or a quad, because I know it's
face your fears, man.
It's a big, massive, big injury, and it's a long road back, and it's a road back sometimes just you don't come back from it. Like, so went to the hospital, and actually then it didn't hurt at first. It was only when we were in the waiting room and stuff, and we were showing the people, the doctors, and the video, and they were like, "Look, we don't even need an MRI. It's just torn off the bone." And then it's the pain started getting really, really bad. And actually I was bleeding, and I didn't realise I'd split under my armpit. It tore as well, so they had to glue that back together. And then I was back in 2 days later. They were really quick, they were awesome. I was back in for the MRI, and the guy who done it had literally said, like, looking at that, he said, I wouldn't have thought that injury happened 2 days ago. That looks at injury that's months old. And he said what was happening, I was getting micro tears constantly while I was training. So we would stack the pec deck, would warm up on 50 kg dumbbells with chairs. We'd just do stupid stuff. You used to do this thing where every day I'd go, right, 30 reps for 50, and that was always my. And then I'd always get like 27, 28, and we'd all be like fuming.
You make us put the 50s away, wouldn't you?
I'd got 29 once, and I was like just going mad after. That was like my little warm-up trick.
Little warm-up, 30 reps and 50 kilo.
And so he'd said, like, he'd literally gone, look, if you've got micro tears on that pec, then you definitely have micro tears on the upper pec. If you have micro tears there, you have micro tears on your quad. You have micro tears on your biceps. So he goes, if you don't change how you train.
Well, warning sign.
Yeah, because the problem is, like, I was 31 when I tore my pec, and I'd been injury-free all through. Like, no, I've never had a bad injury. Obviously, look, as you build and you get bigger, the muscle grows and the muscle gets stronger, but the tendon doesn't
stay the same size, don't they?
Same size, and actually taking certain things over the years will actually weaken your tendons as well. So that's why when you're doing damage in the gym without even realizing, and you're just a moment away from one day it just coming off the bone. So he was adamant that that if you don't change how you train, then we'll be seeing you again in a few months after this heals, and we'll be reattaching a quad or a bicep. So I had no choice, I had to change how I trained.
So did you used to just, because obviously you were saying earlier you mainly lift in the hypertrophy, so like the 8 to 15 rep range, what was your rep range like back then? Was that?
Probably, again, we'd go heavy, but it'd be 6 to 8, kind of really push. But my
so for you, that was going to be like 200 kg.
Yeah, more like strength with a lot of weight on the bar.
And it's still how I train now. I'd probably do 2 to 3 my heavier sets, and then I'd do it back. I've always done a back off set. It'd be my third and my fourth, where I'll just drop the plates and I'll go a little bit longer on the negative and really squeeze out the reps, really squeeze out the squeeze contraction. So and so that's how I'd always train. I'd do a back off set at the end. But I'd generally be 6 to 8 reps, as heavy as we can. Like I said, we'd stack the pec deck and stuff like that. The problem was I didn't just tear off the bone, off the tendon off bone. I also tore out the muscle junction, which is muscle off tendon. So he said, look, there was no guarantee with the surgery. So it would only maybe be 50, 60%. And at the time, the swelling hadn't actually gone down, so you couldn't actually see the damage too much. They actually looked like huge.
Balloon, yeah.
And it was sort of going black at that stage. And it was only then they didn't really want to operate on it. And then he said, go away and think about it. But then after about like a week, the swelling had gone down, and then my chest was over here, it was hanging off.
Oh, but it was like black and blue.
Yeah, you couldn't
Off.
even feel it when you were trying to do any sort of movement on it. So I went back, pushed for the surgery, and then went to see it, got a second opinion in Watford, Watford General, and he was more specialised in sports injuries and stuff. And then I remember I'd taken it off, and he had about 3 specialists come down, all looking at my like wonky peg. I was just standing there, and he said, "Look," he said, "I think I can help." He said, "It's not going to be, it'll never be 100%, but he said it could be 50, 60%. You'll still have a dent and stuff, but because he said, other than that, you'll never compete again." So for me, I was like, "Look, if I can get 20% right now, I'll take it." So went and had the surgery. Like 2 days later, they were really, really quick, and it went really well. And then the hardest part is the waiting around, it's the healing part.
Yeah, that's the rehab, the slow part.
Yeah, you're 6 weeks in a sling, and then obviously at that time you get muscle atrophy. So I remember when I took the sling off after 6 weeks, my arm and shoulder and chest was just skinny.
You just can't use it.
It started shrunk, but it was completely unbalanced. So I was a bit freaked out when I done that. And then we started doing like sort of like rehab and physio work. And I remember seeing him after about 8 weeks, surgeon, and he was like, "Right, Neal, you're allowed to start doing some rehab and physio." I was like, "Cool, brilliant, doc, appreciate it." And he's like, "Look, doesn't mean you can go start training again. I'm telling you now, it's 6 months.
30s to 50.
Yeah, you've got another 20 weeks. You are not going to the gym." And he's like, I was like, "No, it's cool. I've been Googling, watching YouTube. I know the process. I'm going to be really good." And I remember I got out of the gym and I called my mate. He goes, "What are you saying?" "You have to start my training in 2 weeks." So, and then I think we started. It wasn't. I was a bit more sensible. I knew I had to take a little bit longer. When we got back in about 4 months.
Yeah. You did take a bit of time off.
It was 4 months. Recovered really quickly, to be fair. And then it was just again about sort of rebuilding. Obviously, you shrunk down that time. The mental side of it was the hardest part.
That was the biggest struggle, right? Trying to get yourself back in the gym, but the place where it's set you back for the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I went into a dark place because I'd walked away from competing altogether. Yeah. I was ready to settle down, have a family, had a baby on the way. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. And the gym saved me. So I went back competing. There was a reason to get up in the morning, go do my cardio, go train. We've done the shows and we placed in every show. The top 3 in every show we've done.
No, this
was before the Pector.
Yeah.
Placed in the British finals, and it was my distraction from everything else that was going on.
Yeah.
That saved me. So the gym was like the only thing I had to keep me going. And then suddenly one day in the gym, boom, Pector.
Everything been taken away from you.
Yeah, it was like, you just crawled out of hell and you're terrified you're going to be going back there.
Yeah.
And like I said, when you've been there, you don't ever want to go back. So for me, it was the panic of, oh my God, I can't train.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? But for me, it was like, right, you just got to be positive. You just got to focus on the rehab, coming back. And then as soon as the reins were lifted and we could start rehabbing. I was rehabbing for the gym 3 hours a day. They were telling me to do 20 minutes. I was doing 3-4 hours in there every day. Working the gym obviously helps. But for me it was right, my mindset was I'm gonna get back and I'm gonna be better than I ever was. And that was the focus. So for me, I'm always kind of one of the guys where I'm best when my back's against the wall. When someone says you can't do something or you'll never be as good as you were again.
No one's right then.
Then that was like, cool, let's go to work. Let's get done.
And would you say since then have you seen actual improvements that you've actually progressed more? Would you say as well? Yeah,
massively. Like I said, for me the most important part was that the surgery allowed me that I could still train my pecs, still grow my chest. Again, we've had to adjust with certain things. I'll generally tuck my elbows and stuff. But it's our feedback on the last shows when we won the South East. And again, for me, it's always important to get the feedback from the judges because they're the ones that are telling me how to improve and what I need to do to continue win shows. And they said that obviously I have a slight dent in the pec, but it didn't take away from the look of the physique. So it wasn't, you know, you can be marked down for stuff like that. But it just didn't, like, it wasn't an issue. So I've always had a big chest as well, anyway.
We know.
So
Double chest.
Yeah,
We'll put that in.
it was one of the muscles that I've always like responded. My training responded. You know, I could always build a chest. So it hasn't really caused too much stuff, but we do have to be careful with it. It does spasm. I do get like cramps in it and stuff like that. So we have to stretch it out and things like that. I had to get a lot of deep tissue, you know, in the year after the surgery, because scar tissue would build up and stuff like that. It's not too much of an issue anymore, but I would get very tight where I couldn't get a full range of motion in the movement. Touch wood, it's all been good.
It's good, man. Something I wanted to touch on as well, to be fair. So obviously Trent's 25, I'm 30, you're 37. So all grew up in different eras, right? When it came to training. A few episodes ago, I was saying how for me it was like I had no idea what I was doing. So it was just YouTube, whatever. You obviously started at a time where, you know, you were saying you just saw like Jay Cutler, whoever else, mainly Flex Magazine, whatever else. Very different time period. Where would you say in comparison our current fitness industry right now is in relations to bodybuilding, fitness industry, something we literally started the podcast on about? Where would you say it currently sits right now in comparison to when you first started?
Well, I think there's positives and negatives in everything when you look at it. I think the main thing is that like bodybuilding or fitness is more mainstream. There's more access to it. Like I said, when I was starting out, I didn't have access to the information that I really wanted. You know, you had to really go on to internet chats and magazines, old school magazines and stuff like that. Now, again, it's click a button and you have all your sort of training. You can get training plans, nutrition plans, all the information to educate yourself. Problem is, a generation, I feel sometimes choose not to do that. And they take almost like the easy cut, the shortcut and stuff like that. I'm very much in the old school Dorian Yates, you know. When I'm training, I'm covered up. You don't see me.
You don't see you for weeks.
Bags and stuff. There's no cameras. I'm not filming. And for me, I think that my goal when I'm in the gym is I'm not in there to film and worried about likes and posting sessions. I don't give a shit about any of that. I'm there to you know, destroy my workout and build my physique and help get like the long-term goal of winning titles and building the best physique possible. I think a lot of people now are more interested in likes and views than actually training hard. And I think it's watered down the industry. And I think that a lot of people now, like I said, you just see it when you go to shows. So back when I started, the men's bodybuilding classes would be full up, and then over the years it's been less and less guys competing and more into the men's physique and bikini and stuff like that. And some of the athletes are absolutely awesome and insane, but over the years then you see that the standards have dropped, and it's almost because people feel they have to compete. Because they want to win shows, and that's what they want to do, because they can post it on Instagram.
The camera said so, right?
Yeah, so they post it on Instagram and they'll get the followers and stuff like that. But they're not willing to do the work. For their priority is to film it, post it. They're not willing to suffer. They're not willing to do the diet. They're not willing to do the hard sessions. And I think then you're seeing that in the physiques that especially at amateur level and the pro levels. Yeah, you know, the guys are awesome. And I think there, yeah. I mean, I'll go to the gym last week and there was someone doing a glute drive on a Smith machine, and they were holding the thing filmed.
Wow, you're pushing yourself when you're doing that.
I mean, I look around. I was in awe, like. But like, you look around the gym and you go, how many people these days are really training hard? And I mean hard, like to full maximum potential. You know, when I go and if I book in with my coach and Chris, and he's training legs with me, he's working me to my absolute limit.
Yeah, he's not setting up a camera angle or waiting for you to get in the right shorts or something like that.
There's no cameras. No. Like, we're there to literally to actually destroy the workout and you know, get me to my very limit. And you know, like, I'm a big believer in like your mind breaks before the body.
Yeah.
So when you're saying, right, I'll stop at 10 reps or 11 reps, there's more in the tank.
Yeah.
How many people are really pushing past that?
How many reps you getting after
pushing
that?
Past the limits, you know. I remember, you know, I'll be there with Chris, and we train the legs, and like we'll have one more set on the pendulum, and I'm done. Like mentally, physically, I'm sitting down, and I don't want. There's nothing in the world that makes me want to get into the machine for that last set. Broken, but he's filming. Get the effort, get into the machine. There's one more, and he lies. He'll say we'll do 8 reps, and I get the 8, and then 2 more.
Yeah,
and then we get that 2 more. You lied to me.
You build character.
Yeah,
build it.
and I'm crying. I'm like, no, I want to get out.
Yeah,
but he will leave me till there is absolutely nothing left. Absolutely nothing left. And there's 6, 7, 8 reps that were in the tank.
Yeah,
that I would have walked away and left behind. And if you got to look on the long, like you're doing that every week, and then every month. Like how many reps are you leaving in the tank? How much over the course of a year will that make to your physique? And I think that's the difference there. There's less and less people that are really willing to train hard, instead of the people there, the pretenders that are only here to get followers. And for me, I'm someone there that, like I said, when I was on prep, there was no cameras. I didn't even post one thing. No one knew I was on prep. People thought I was either dead or in prison.
Yeah.
And I remember I was training with my mate, and she was taking some videos, and I was like, "We don't delete them." Like,
no one wants to see it.
I didn't want that. So for me, my mindset was, especially after it was the first shows back after the pec tear.
Yeah.
That for me, I wanted my first picture and first one that anyone knew about was me standing holding the trophy, winning the Southeast title. So I was like, that was my first picture. And then you do your spam, your competition, and stuff like that. But for me, my whole mindset, my focus is on the wider goal of building the best physique, where it's unfortunately it seems to be dying out in the industry these days.
Do you think it has diluted because social media made it so picturesque and likes, and you can get some clients from it as soon as you do one photo shoot? Because you do see amateurs turn up 1 or 2 shows maybe, but it's all over social media. They put their prep on, they put their videos on, they put their diets on. But if you still look at the pros now, let's say the modern era, Chris Bumstead, Ryan Terry, who won the Olympia, a couple of weeks out, they posted, we're not posting. Both of them then went and won their Olympia classes, but no one saw. They went in the backstage, they went on their own, they sent their soul into everything, like I said, no distraction, and then they won their class. Whereas these people that are filming everything, that are doing it for the likes and the story content, do 1 or 2 shows and they give up very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, this industry breeds, and again, I've met some of the most amazing, inspirational people that I have so much respect for, over the years of competing and stuff. But this industry seems to breed some of the most delusional people you could ever meet. These guys will go around and either post all over Instagram or even in conversations, and they talk to me about pro cards. I'm going to get my pro card. They've never even done a show. They've never even been to a competition.
Back to the goal setting, you just think you're getting it so quick.
They've never been to a competition. And what kind of mindset is that? I don't go and play golf the weekend and go, I'm going to beat Tiger Woods in a few years, and with
the last podcast.
But literally, people are talking about pro cards, and they haven't even ever been to a show. You've never even gone through a prep and suffered and got that kind of condition.
You've not been ripped to shreds, man. You haven't had a judge judge you for every inch of what you've got.
It's for me, I was always honest and realistic in day one that I knew I didn't have the genetics to be a pro, and I knew that for me to even compete with some guys amateur level, that I would have to be one of the hardest workers ever, and I would have outwork and outtrain everyone just to even get close to some of these guys, because they are so good. And again, for me, I was realistic from day one. I knew, look, I'm never going to be a pro. That's why I covered myself with tattoos. If I thought I could have been, I wouldn't have covered myself head to toe with tattoos. For me, I want to create something a bit different and be different from everyone else on stage. Or another one, half of these guys are part-time chefs.
Yeah.
We cooking. Oh, they're all cooking stuff. Who's we? I see these posts and I cringe and I think, just shut up, get your head down, do the work. I'll be in the gym and everyone now needs to strip down into their underwear and put a camera in front of them and flex and pose. And these guys, and there's no disrespect or anything, but they haven't got a physique to be doing that. And for me, it's take a step back, put the time in, build a physique, But because they've seen guys in there that are competing, doing that, then they suddenly want to be stripping down in front of everyone, hitting a front double bicep with a zero physique. And for me, then that's where you need to reel it in and
almost just take your time.
exactly that.